you want to be a hyper-realist. I understand how reality works, therefore I need to do this under this set of circumstances, which means developing principles. And so what I did when I would do that, anytime, whenever I would think, what should I do, whether painful or not, I would pause, reflect on, what should I do if that happened again? And that's how I would write down my principles. And what I did was I wrote down a lot of principles.
A lot of principles.
A lot of principles. If this happens, that happens, and whatever. And then, so I wrote these principles down. And then I found that in investing, if I can computerize those decision rules, I could backtest them, see how they would have worked, and so on. So I built systems, decision-making systems. Computer would make decisions. So it was AI before LLMs, but it was AI to have decision-making criteria. So it would be like I would make a computer chess game that would play while I am playing my mental chess game, what moves we would make. And it's completely automated and so on. But what I'm trying to say is that reflecting on how does reality really work and what do I do when this happens to that happens is the development of principles. And that has been invaluable. And it also makes me see things differently. Because a lot of people, and if I didn't do this, I would be seeing almost as a blizzard of things coming at me. Instead, I see everything as another one of those. So let's say, for example, it's a species. So it's like seeing, okay, what kind of species is it? And how do I deal with that species? So it's one of those rather than just a lot of things coming at me.
Pattern recognition of.
Yeah, but let's say if you think of it's a duck.
Okay.
Oh, okay, it's a duck. How do I deal with the duck? Or it's a lion. Okay, how do I deal with a lion? Okay, rather than just a lot of things coming at it. So this principle thinking and seeing it that way had a big effect on the quality of my decision making, and that helped.
Two questions I had there is, to become a principled thinker, I need to do more reflection, right? And then the other thing is,
think about how does the machine, how does life, how do these things work? So that's what I mean. Okay.
And to write that down.
Write down your thoughts. I find sometimes what I would do is I'd dictate them into my iPhone. Okay. I'd say, no. Okay. This is how, when you're making a decision, why did you make that decision? So not just make a decision, but think about the criteria you're using to make the decision.
Also my emotions, my trauma, my insecurities, my anxiety.
Right. And you might say, when reflecting on that, is that helpful? Is that harmful? And what do I do about that? Like, for example, what you're referring to is, yes, that emotions and the things and all of those, you have to understand that basically the brain's got two parts to it, right? It has the logical part of your brain, reasonable, tries to reason things through, and that which is conscious. And then it has the subconscious mind, which is the subliminal that is really driving you. And so when you can reflect, okay, how are my emotions entering into it? What do I, and so on. And you can think and you can align that. That's very powerful. And meditation, by the way, naturally does that, because what you do when you meditate, and maybe a time's coming I should explain meditation, okay, how it works. What you do is it's a process by which you sit quietly and you repeat in your mind what is called a mantra, which is a sound it's a word that has no meaning. Let me say the most classic example of that would be Om. Okay, so you quietly there and you go, with your breath, you go, Om, like that. But you need to be taught. But anyway, Om. And so when you're doing that, because your Om is in your mind or your mantra is in your mind, you're not able to have other thoughts. You'll see yourself wavering between doing that and staying on the mantra and then having thoughts. And then you go back to your mantra. When you are in the mantra a lot, then it disappears. The sound disappears and you go into your subconscious mind. That's what they call transcendental meditations, the type of meditation I do. And so you go there and you're not in a conscious state and you're not in a unconscious state. You're in a conscious state. So it's subconscious state. It's not unconscious is you're sleeping. Conscious is that you're awake like we are. You're in this. So it's a different state. Like if you hear that noise, you would hear that noise. It would be big, and not when you're sleeping. But when you're in your subconscious state, then it's relaxing, it's helpful, and this process helps to bring your conscious state and your subconscious state into alignment. In other words, you recognize both, and it calms you down. It's like the ninja in the ninja movies, they're fighting, but it seems in slow motion. The camera shows them in slow motion and they're doing whatever they're doing along that. It kind of makes you in that kind of state of mind so that you're dealing with what's coming at you in that way. And so what you referred to is these things that happen, and how you deal with those is really important to the quality of your decision making.
How influential was transcendental meditation in your success?
Oh, enormously successful, enormously significant, very, very, very significant. In other words, that way of seeing things.
And how often?
And by the way, I would say there's a serenity prayer. The serenity prayer is, God, give me the serenity to accept that which I can't control, and give me the power to control that which I can, and the wisdom to tell the difference. Okay? And so to how you approach these things, we're talking about reflection. You asked me reflection, okay? If you can reflect in that quality way, then you deal with anything.